He was an action hero, a cultural icon, a martial arts legend on the cusp of superstardom.
Bruce Lee was more than just a martial arts legend. He was a global icon, redefining action cinema and inspiring millions. At the height of his fame, his sudden death shocked the world. For decades, questions have surrounded the true cause of his passing. Now, new revelations are emerging, and they may not be what fans expected. Let's take a closer look at the mystery behind Bruce Lee's final moments. Born in chaos. Bruce Lee was born on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco's Chinatown during a time of great change. His parents, Lee Chuan and Grace Ho, were in the United States for a performance tour with a traveling Cantonese opera company. Bruce came into the world during the hour and year of the dragon, according to Chinese astrology, which many believe is a sign of strength and greatness. Because of this, his Chinese stage name later became Lee Shu Lung, which means Lee the Little Dragon. His birth name was Lee Junfan, which means return again, a wish from his mother that he would come back to the United States one day. Just 4 months after his birth, Bruce's family returned to Hong Kong in April 1941. At that time, no one knew what was coming. In December of the same year, Japan launched a brutal attack on Hong Kong, beginning 4 years of occupation during World War II. Bruce spent his early childhood living through this terrifying period. The city was full of danger. There were constant food shortages, violence, and fear everywhere. These years left a deep mark on Bruce. While other children were playing freely, Bruce was learning how to survive in a city under military control. He made his first appearance in a movie as a baby. The film was called Golden Gate Girl, and Bruce was carried on stage in the background of one of the scenes. As he grew older, his talent in front of the camera became clear. At just 9 years old, he starred in The Kid, a movie based on a local comic book character. By the time Bruce turned 18, he had already appeared in 20 films. Most teenagers were still figuring out what they wanted to do in life. Bruce was already a working actor with years of experience. But fame did not protect Bruce from problems at home. In the early 1950s, his father fell into opium addiction. This created stress and instability in the family. At the same time, Bruce was having trouble in school. He first attended Tak Sun School near their home in Kowloon. But poor academic performance and behavior issues led to him being transferred to St. Francis Xavier's College in 1956. While he was bright and full of energy, Bruce had a hard time following rules, and his rebellious nature often got him into trouble. What happened next pushed Bruce into the world of martial arts and changed his life forever. The rejected disciple. By the time Bruce Lee turned 13, his life was already full of conflict and energy. In 1953, he was introduced to the legendary Wing Chun master IP Man through a friend named William Chung. Bruce had been getting into more and more street fights, and Chung believed martial arts training could help give Bruce structure and discipline. IP Man was well known in Hong Kong for his skill and wisdom, and many young people trained under him. But when Bruce first tried to join IP Man's school, he was turned away. The reason for the rejection had nothing to do with Bruce's ability or attitude. It had everything to do with his background. Bruce's mother, Grace Ho, was of mixed Chinese and European ancestry. In traditional Chinese martial arts circles, that made Bruce a foreigner. At that time, many masters believed that martial arts should only be taught to full-blooded Chinese students. Luckily, William Chung spoke up for Bruce and convinced IP Man to let him train. Even then, Bruce faced resistance. Some of the other students didn't want to work with him because of his heritage. Eventually, Bruce trained privately with IP Man and a few others, including William Chung and Wang Shunleung. Bruce took martial arts seriously from the start. For him, it wasn't just a hobby, it was an obsession. He practiced constantly, always looking to improve. At the same time, he continued to get into street fights. In 1958, he was involved in a rooftop fight with a group of students from a rival martial arts school, Choi Li Fut. One of them hit Bruce first, and Bruce hit back hard, so hard that he knocked out one of the boy's teeth. The family of the injured boy went to the police. This incident nearly landed Bruce in serious legal trouble. His mother had to go to the police station and take full responsibility for his actions. She didn't tell Bruce's father about it, but she made an important decision. It was time for Bruce to leave Hong Kong before things got worse. But before he left, Bruce made a name for himself in other ways too. That same year, 1958, Bruce won the Hong Kong Inter-School Boxing Championship. He fought against the defending champion Gary Elms and knocked him out in the final round. It was a big moment that showed Bruce could hold his own in Western-style fighting as well. Around the same time, he also won the Crown Colony Cha-Cha Dancing Championship. Bruce was not just a fighter, he was physically gifted, quick, and able to master many different skills. His rhythm, timing, and control made him stand out in everything he did. After the rooftop fight, Bruce's parents feared that he would either end up in jail or be targeted by the wrong people. So at 18, they sent him back to the US, the country of his birth. He first stayed with his older sister, Agnes Lee, in San Francisco. But soon after, Bruce moved to Seattle to start a new chapter of his life. What Bruce found in America would lead him to build his own martial art and challenge the entire world, breaking every rule. When Bruce Lee arrived in the United States in 1959, he was just 18 years old. He had left behind the chaos of Hong Kong and was ready for a new beginning. At first, he stayed in San Francisco with his older sister, Agnes Lee. But not long after, he moved to Seattle, Washington, where he started to rebuild his life from the ground up. In Seattle, Bruce enrolled at Edison Technical School to finish high school. At the same time, he worked as a live-in waiter at the home and restaurant of Ruby Chow, a family friend. His days were long. He worked to earn his keep and studied to build a future. But Bruce wasn't just focused on school or work. In his spare time, he began teaching martial arts. He called his method Junfan Gung Fu, which was his own take on the Wing Chun style he had learned in Hong Kong. It included ideas from traditional Chinese martial arts, but Bruce was already beginning to make changes and add new techniques that worked better in real-life situations. Bruce's first student was Jesse Glover, an African-American judo practitioner. Jesse was impressed by Bruce's speed, precision, and attitude. From there, the group of students began to grow. What made Bruce's classes different was how open they were. In a time when many martial arts schools were closed off to people of different races, Bruce welcomed everyone. His students included Black, white, Asian, and Latino individuals. It didn't matter where you were from. If you wanted to learn, Bruce would teach you. This was rare in the early 1960s and showed Bruce's belief that martial arts belonged to everyone, not just one group. In 1961, Bruce enrolled at the University of Washington. He officially studied drama. But he often said it was philosophy that truly shaped his thinking. He read about many ideas, Eastern and Western, and tried to apply them to his life and training. Even though he lived in poverty, Bruce didn't let that stop him. He rented a small room, washed dishes to make money, and kept working on his martial arts. Over time, he became friends with people from different backgrounds, including some from Seattle's wealthier families. His personality made him stand out. He was confident, intense, and passionate about everything he did. In 1964, Bruce took a big step forward. He was invited to perform at the Long Beach International Karate Championships in California. This was a major event in the martial arts world, and Bruce took full advantage of the spotlight. He amazed the crowd with his two-finger push-ups, supporting his entire body using just his thumb and index finger. Then he showed off his famous one-inch punch, a move that sent a man flying backward with barely any wind-up. But it wasn't just his skills that made an impact. What happened next would put Bruce in the middle of one of the most controversial fights in martial arts history. The fight that changed everything. By the early 1960s, Bruce Lee was becoming a well-known martial artist on the West Coast. He had already opened schools, built a diverse student base, and challenged many long-held ideas in traditional martial arts. One of his biggest and most controversial actions was his choice to teach students of all races. At the time, many in the Chinese martial arts community believed that Kung Fu should only be passed down to Chinese people. Bruce strongly disagreed. He believed martial arts were for everyone, no matter their race, background, or culture. This disagreement didn't just cause tension, it led to a fight that would follow Bruce for the rest of his life. According to Bruce's wife, Linda Lee, the Chinese martial arts elders in San Francisco were unhappy with Bruce's actions. They felt he was breaking tradition and exposing secrets to outsiders. When Bruce refused to stop teaching non-Chinese students, a challenge was issued. Wang Jackman, a young martial artist from China who had recently arrived in the U.S., was chosen to fight Bruce and settle the matter. The fight happened in 1964 behind closed doors at Bruce's school in Oakland. There were no cameras and only a small number of people were allowed to watch. From that moment on, the truth about what really happened became a mystery, because everyone who was there told a different story. Linda Lee said the fight lasted only about 3 minutes. According to her, Bruce launched into the fight quickly and aggressively. She said that Wang was not prepared for Bruce's speed and style, and after trying to avoid the blows, Wang eventually gave up. In her view, Bruce won clearly and decisively. She also said that Bruce was very upset afterward, not because he lost, but because the fight took longer than he expected. He felt that even though he had won, the way he fought had not been efficient enough. But other witnesses remembered things very differently. One of them was William Chen, a respected martial artist who was present during the fight. Chen claimed the fight lasted 20 to 25 minutes and did not have a clear winner. He said Bruce was unable to land powerful hits, and Wang held back some of his strongest kicks out of respect. In Chen's opinion, the fight ended in a draw. Wang Jackman also gave his version. He claimed Bruce started the fight by pretending to offer a handshake and then suddenly attacked him. He said Bruce fought like a mad bull, using wild and dangerous attacks that seemed more about doing harm than testing skill. Wang said he chose not to fight with full power because he didn't want to hurt Bruce. According to him, Bruce got tired partway through the fight, and the match ended not because Wang gave up, but because Bruce was too exhausted to continue. After the fight, Bruce never publicly talked much about it. He refused to respond to Wang's later public challenge for a rematch, which Wang had printed in a San Francisco newspaper. Wang said he wanted to clear his name after hearing people say he had lost badly. Bruce stayed silent. Some people believe that Bruce's silence was a way of staying above the drama. Others say he didn't want to risk losing a second match. Whatever the reason, there was never a rematch, and the truth about who won remains unclear. But something important did happen after that fight. It changed Bruce. He realized that traditional martial arts styles were too limited. In his view, they were full of rules and patterns that didn't work well in real fights. Even though he had trained in Wing Chun, Bruce now believed that sticking to only one system was holding him back. He began studying other styles, looking at boxing, fencing, wrestling, and other fighting methods. He wanted to create something new, something based on what actually worked, not just on tradition. This became the starting point for his personal martial art, which he would later name Jeet Kune Do. Years later, Hollywood tried to tell the story of this fight in the film Birth of the Dragon, but the movie added a lot of made-up parts. In the film, Bruce and Wang fight to a draw, then team up to defeat a bigger enemy. In reality, there was no such team-up. The real fight wasn't about friendship or good versus evil. It was about two men who represented two different ways of thinking. Wang stood for tradition and control. Bruce stood for change and freedom. The Betty Ting Pei scandal. On July 20th, 1973, Bruce Lee walked into the Hong Kong apartment of a young actress named Betty Ting Pei. He was there to discuss the script for a new film, Game of Death, which he was planning to finish. Producer Raymond Chow was also present earlier that day. According to reports, Bruce seemed to be in good health and was in a relaxed, working mood. But sometime that afternoon, Bruce began to complain of a headache. Betty, trying to help, gave him a painkiller called Equagesic. It was a combination of aspirin and a tranquilizer. After taking the pill, Bruce said he wanted to lie down and rest. He went into Betty's bedroom and never woke up. What happened next shocked the world. Bruce Lee, one of the most physically fit men alive, was declared dead at just 32 years old. His sudden death would have been heartbreaking under any circumstance, but the fact that it happened in a young actress's apartment and not at home with his wife and children immediately created a storm of controversy. Bruce was still married to Linda Lee at the time. The public reaction was swift and emotional. Newspapers and magazines quickly focused not just on Bruce's death, but on where it had happened and who he was with. The headlines exploded with speculation. Was Bruce having an affair? Was Betty Ting Pei his mistress? Why was he at her apartment alone? These questions fed a media frenzy that didn't go away for years. Betty Ting Pei became the center of attention and suspicion. Many people didn't believe the official explanation. The rumors were intense, and many of them were cruel. Betty has always insisted that she and Bruce were close friends, and that she did nothing wrong. She said they were working together and had a good relationship built on trust and honesty. According to Betty, she first met Bruce in 1972 through producer Raymond Chow, and she even met his wife Linda during a group meeting. Betty admitted they spent time together, but she denied any romantic involvement. Despite this, she became the target of constant judgment from the public and the media. Some of the most damaging rumors claimed Bruce's death was tied to an inappropriate relationship with Betty. These stories spread fast and stuck with the public for decades. Betty has always strongly denied this. In interviews, she said the idea was both false and deeply unfair, to her and to Bruce. In a 1983 television interview, she said, "I know what people were thinking about Bruce and me, and this made me live a nightmare for 10 years. I think it's unfair, not only to me but also to Bruce. He was already dead." Her words showed just how much pain the rumors caused her. For years, Betty avoided the spotlight. The event followed her everywhere. No matter what she said, the public seemed unsure whether to believe her. The media kept repeating the same questions, and each time Bruce's death was mentioned in the news, her name came up too. While there was never any proof of wrongdoing, the story of Betty Ting Pei and Bruce Lee remained one of the most talked about parts of his tragic death. But the mystery didn't end there. Questions about what actually caused Bruce Lee's death would only grow louder. The mystery behind Bruce Lee's sudden death. Bruce Lee's death on July 20th, 1973 shocked the world. At only 32 years old, he seemed unstoppable, a man of strength, speed, and discipline. But his sudden collapse and the strange circumstances of his passing have kept people wondering for decades. What really killed Bruce Lee? The first medical report said Bruce died from cerebral edema, which means his brain swelled up. The doctors believed this was a reaction to a painkiller called Equagesic, a medication that combined aspirin with a tranquilizer known as meprobamate. Bruce had taken this pill at Betty Ting Pei's apartment to ease a headache. He lay down to rest and never woke up. His death was ruled a tragic but rare allergic reaction to the drug. But even at the time, this explanation left many people with questions. Bruce was young, fit, and strong. How could a simple painkiller kill him? One major detail wasn't widely shared at first. 2 months earlier, in May 1973, Bruce had collapsed on the set of Enter the Dragon. That day, he had also complained of a headache, become dizzy, and passed out. Doctors treated him at a hospital where he recovered. Tests showed he had suffered brain swelling at that time too, just like the final episode in July. Yet after he recovered, there's no clear record of long-term follow-up or steps taken to prevent a repeat. This earlier incident might have been a warning sign, but it seems it was overlooked. His autopsy report noted traces of a substance in his system, which led to speculation, though medical experts dismissed it as a cause. This led to some public speculation. Could marijuana have caused the brain swelling? British pathologist Donald Thierry, who was called in to assist with the case, said no. He dismissed cannabis as a direct cause of death. While it can affect the brain, there's no clear medical evidence that cannabis alone causes cerebral edema or sudden death in healthy adults. Still, the mention of drugs, along with the odd location of his death, fueled even more rumors. Another theory was introduced by Bruce Lee's biographer Matthew Polly in his 2018 book. Polly pointed out that Bruce had undergone surgery in 1972 to remove sweat glands from his underarms. He did this for cosmetic reasons to look dry on camera, but some experts believe this might have been dangerous. Without full sweating ability, Bruce's body may have struggled to cool itself, especially during hot, humid Hong Kong summers. Polly proposed that Bruce may have died from heat stroke. The symptoms, headache, dizziness, and brain swelling match up. Bruce had also been working hard, training, and rehearsing that day, and his apartment had no air conditioning. This theory gained support because it linked a physical issue, lack of cooling, to the brain swelling without relying on drugs as the main cause. In 2022, a team of Spanish kidney specialists published a new theory. They suggested Bruce Lee died from overhydration, drinking too much water. According to them, Bruce had a habit of drinking large amounts of fluid throughout the day, especially during intense workouts. If a person drinks too much water too quickly, their kidneys can't keep up, and this can cause hyponatremia, a dangerous drop in sodium levels. One result of this condition is cerebral edema, brain swelling. The theory was supported by reports that Bruce had been drinking water, juice, and possibly other liquids in large amounts that day. The irony of this theory shocked many people. Bruce Lee may have died from something as simple as drinking too much water, a family marked by tragedy. When Bruce Lee died suddenly on July 20, 1973, the shockwave hit not only his fans but also his young family. His wife, Linda Lee Cadwell, was just 28 years old. Suddenly, she was a widow and a single mother. She had to raise their two children, Brandon, who was 8 years old at the time, and Shannon, who was just 4, without her husband by her side. Along with dealing with deep personal grief, Linda also had to face overwhelming public attention. The media swarmed both Linda and Betty Ting Pei, the actress in whose apartment Bruce died. Rumors about Bruce's death and his possible relationship with Betty were in every newspaper and magazine. Linda, who had always supported Bruce's career and stood by him during tough times, now had to protect her children from the public eye and from the pain of losing their father in such a confusing and controversial way. Despite the hardship, Linda focused on keeping Bruce's legacy alive. She continued to speak about his life, his work, and his philosophy. But more tragedy would strike the family decades later. Bruce's son, Brandon Lee, followed in his father's footsteps. He trained in martial arts and took an interest in acting. After working in several smaller roles, Brandon gained attention in the early 1990s with the film Showdown in Little Tokyo. His talent and charm reminded many people of his father. By 1993, he had landed the lead role in the movie The Crow, a dark action film that many believed would make him a major star. But tragedy struck again. On March 31, 1993, while filming a scene for The Crow, Brandon was accidentally shot with a prop gun that had been improperly prepared. Due to a tragic accident with a prop gun on set, Brandon was fatally injured during filming and later passed away at the hospital. He was 28 years old, the same age his mother had been when Bruce died. It was another heartbreaking blow for a family already touched by deep loss. Brandon was buried next to his father in Seattle. His death felt like a cruel repeat of history and brought more sadness to a family already marked by loss. Bruce's daughter, Shannon Lee, took a different path but later stepped into the public role of protecting and sharing her father's legacy. She became the head of the Bruce Lee Foundation, an organization that promotes Bruce's ideas about self-growth, martial arts, and personal expression. Shannon also became a producer and helped bring one of Bruce's long-forgotten projects to life. In 2019, she co-produced the TV series Warrior, which was based on a concept Bruce had pitched decades earlier. The show became a success and helped introduce Bruce's vision to a new generation. The mystery finally solved. Bruce Lee's death has puzzled fans, doctors, and researchers for over 50 years. The official cause listed in 1973 was cerebral edema, which means swelling of the brain. But that was only the what, not the why. What caused this swelling? Why would a healthy young martial artist suddenly collapse and never wake up? Over time, different theories tried to answer these questions. And now, decades later, we may finally have the clearest explanation. But the truth isn't heroic or even comforting. The answer, it turns out, may not be just one single cause, but a combination of several factors. Each one, on its own, might not have been fatal, but together, they created a dangerous situation that Bruce's body couldn't recover from. Let's look at the pieces. First, Bruce had a history of collapsing. Just 2 months before his death, he passed out on the set of Enter the Dragon. That incident also involved headache, dizziness, and brain swelling. He recovered, but no serious follow-up was done. His body had already shown a warning sign. Next, Bruce had surgery in 1972 to remove the sweat glands from under his arms. The goal was to look better on camera, with no visible sweat. But this may have seriously affected his ability to cool down. In the hot, humid climate of Hong Kong, this would have placed extra stress on his body, especially during workouts or rehearsals. Finally, the most recent medical theory points to overhydration as the final trigger. In 2022, a team of Spanish doctors published a study arguing that Bruce Lee likely died from hyponatremia, a condition caused when you drink too much water and your kidneys can't balance the fluid. When this happens, your body's sodium levels drop and the brain can swell. The study noted that Bruce was known to drink lots of liquids, water, juice, even protein shakes throughout the day. Combined with heat, dehydration from sweat gland removal, and possible diet imbalances, this may have created the perfect storm. So the most likely explanation is this. Bruce's earlier brain swelling made him more vulnerable. His lack of sweat glands stopped him from cooling down, and his habit of drinking large amounts of liquid may have pushed his body over the edge. Together, these factors led to fatal cerebral edema. In the end, Bruce Lee, known for his unmatched control, power, and strength, was not taken down by a rival or an injury, but by something invisible and silent. His body simply couldn't recover from the pressure it was under. The warrior didn't fall in battle. He overheated, he overdrunk, and he never woke up. If you found this video interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.